Hello, this is a short video showing you how to draw a histogram. So we need some data first, and we've got data for the heights of sixth form students. So for example, you can see that there were 100 students between 175 and 180 centimeters tall. In a histogram, it looks a lot like a bar chart, except it's not just the height of the bar that's important, it's going to be the width as well. So the total area is what we need to think about. So our first step is to add in some extra columns. If this is in an exam paper, then there's almost always going to be some space left over there on the side. They'll put this data off to the left to give you a bit of a hint that you should be adding in extra columns of your own. So this first one I'm going to call class width, and this is to take account of the fact that these groups are not equally spaced. That's 150 to 165, that's a width of 15, but this next group's a width of 10. This one's only 5, and then 180 to 185, that's 5 again, and this last group has a width of 10. Again, it's not just the frequency that we plot, we need to think about the area, and the easiest way to do that is to deal with something called frequency density. So if you're given a histogram to use, you should see that the scale on the vertical axis is labelled as frequency density. And to find this frequency density, we do the frequency divided by the class width for each row. So that's the frequency from this column divided by the class width from this column, which we've just added ourselves. So my frequency densities are going to be 60 divided by 15, which is 4, 90 divided by 10, 100 divided by 5, 50 divided by 5, and 25 divided by 10. Okay, I picked fairly nice numbers. They don't have to be that nice. They could easily be quite unpleasant decimals, or they may be quite big numbers, depending on what the data is you've got over here, really. I'm just going to pause the video a minute and get this data from this table onto the next page. Okay, so I've started to draw my histogram. I've got my scale going across the bottom here. We're starting at 150 and going up to, I decided to go to 200 using a nice sensible scale, and obviously the red lines here are every 10, so that means the blue lines will be every 5, and I've put that little wiggle in to show that I didn't start at 0. For my scale on the left hand side, you need to start at 0, so this bottom line is going to be 0, and my highest value in this list here, that's going to be that 20, so I'm going to need to go up to 20, and looking at this scale, if I go for 4 there and then 8, that should fit very nicely, and that means that every blue line is worth 2, so 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. Then it's just a question of drawing in the bars. So the first one starts at 150 and is 4 in terms of frequency density. So a bar, let's get rid of that one. I'm going to make it go up to 165 because that's where this data goes, from 150 to 165 in the table. The next one is from 165 up to 175, and I need to make this one be a value of 9 frequency density. So there's 8, that would be 10, so 9 is halfway in between. Come across from there and straight down. This would be easier if you had graph paper or smaller squares perhaps. Next one, 175 to 180, is a bar with a frequency density of 20, so only taking it up to 180 this time. It's a narrow bar. That one goes there. Next one, 180 to 185, it's going to be 10, so that's there. And then the last bar goes from 180 to 195, has a frequency density of 2.5, so that's 2, that would be 3, so 2.5 will be there. There we go, that's my histogram. So it does look a little bit like a bar chart, except obviously not all the bars are the same width. there are no gaps, and each bar starts and ends at the boundaries that were shown from the table. Okay, hope that's helped.